Good Shabbos. I am at the conference of Shluchim. Here, say hi to Shane and to Darren. They're here with me. We are. I was just at one of the sessions and heard a very interesting story. There was a young bacher who was speaking on a video saying that he went a couple weeks ago. He went up to the north to army bases to encourage the soldiers to do mitzvahs, to put on tefillin, and so on and so forth. And one of the things that are big that we're doing now is the mitzvah of having a letter in a Sefer Torah, buying a letter in a Sefer Torah. During the Lebanon War, the first Lebanon War, that's something that Rebbe pushed, that every soldier should have a letter in the Sefer Torah, every person should have a letter in the Sefer Torah. As a matter of fact, one of the expressions that Rebbe gave at that time was, there are 304,805, I think, letters in a Sefer Torah. It says when a soldier has a letter in a Sefer Torah, then when he is fighting his enemy, he's not fighting as one person. He's fighting as 304,805 people together. That's who the enemy sees. It's not one person. It's the entire army. And he's quoting from Daniel, from the prophet Daniel, that the ones who will have a letter in the Sefer Torah will be saved. At that time, at this time of the war of the end of days, if you have a letter in a Torah, you will be saved. So that's one of the mitzvot that we are trying to encourage at this time. So this young man was telling the story that he went up to the north and to an army base, and he was encouraging the soldiers to put on tefillin and mezuzahs and tzitzis and to get a letter in the Sefer Torah. So it's going around from soldier to soldier. They're getting a letter in the Sefer Torah until there's this one female soldier, and he asks her if she wants. He says, "No, don't worry about it. No, I don't need it." Anyway, as a Chabad Chassid would do, he didn't take no for an answer right away. And he said to her, what do you have to lose? Why not? It's a protection. You should buy a letter in the Torah. She says she'll do it for herself and for a friend of hers, for another chayelet. And he says, okay. So he writes her name and says, what's your friend's name? He gives her friend's name. Where is your friend? My friend is captured. She's one of the captives. And okay, so buys a letter for the Torah for the friend as well. And when a few days later, when the soldier that was captured was released, he recognized the name. This was the woman. So he calls her. He had a contact details of this other chayelet, and he contacts her and he says, "This is it, right?" She says, "Yeah." She was so emotional, saying, "Yeah, absolutely." She got a letter in the Torah and she was saved. And I've been hearing stories of this nature, which really just proves the eternal message of the Talmud, that mitzvot protect. Torah mitzvahs protect. And we've seen so many stories where people doing mitzvahs actually have protected them in the most amazing ways. And there's stuff coming out all the time, but you hear it firsthand in interviews where people are saying the stories themselves. There's this one woman who says that she accepted upon herself as she sees she was in Sderot, and she sees the terrorists coming by outside of her window, and she prays to Hashem. She says, "If you save me through this, I'm going to start keeping Shabbat." And they literally just skipped her house. There's a story of the fellow who was stopped before Rosh Hashanah to put on tefillin. He's never put on tefillin in his life, and he put on tefillin. And he said Shema Yisrael for the first time in his life. And something happened that sparked something within him, that he said, okay, now when Rosh Hashanah came, he had to, he was going to keep Rosh Hashanah. He didn't know how to keep Rosh Hashanah. He lived in the kibbutz. And he just knew that he's not going to open his phone and go into anything electronic on the 2 days of Rosh Hashanah. Then came Yom Kippur and he fasted. And then on Simchas Torah, boom, he was... They came into his house, and he was in the safe room, and they simply couldn't find him. They couldn't see the door to the safe room, and he was saved. There's a story of a woman now who who was in her safe room with 6 people, a neighbor, a lonely neighbor as well, and they were in the safe room, and her husband held the door. They burnt down the house, and the door handle became so burnt that he had to put a cloth on the handle. He was holding it for 12 hours or so, that they shouldn't be able to get in the safe room. And ultimately they were saved, and they came out and they saw the whole house was burnt except for the sukkah. They had a sukkah, of course it was the last day of Sukkot. They had a sukkah in the house, and nothing happened to the sukkah. There was a story of a woman who says that there's only 2 people in her village who use the mikveh on a regular basis. She and another family. And she went to the mikveh thereafter and said that the 2 families that go to the mikveh in this one of these communities that was devastated, not one person of these 2 families were touched, were affected. So, mitzvah after mitzvah, whether it be Shabbos, whether it's Sukkah, whether it be mikveh, whether it be tefillin, whether it be a letter in the Sefer Torah, whether it be tzitzis, a story of a tzitzis, crazy story of a young lady. I heard this directly from Rabbi Zaid. This young girl calls him, a young lady calls him and says, I have 6,000 shekels. I want to donate tzitzis for the soldiers. He says, that's all your savings? You don't have to give all your savings. He says, no, that's what I wanted to do. I want you to buy tzitzis to the soldiers on the condition that you go and give it out. This is right at the beginning of the war. So he goes and he buys 6,000 shekels. He buys lots of tzitzis. He goes down south, and he comes towards where the army is still in operation, and they don't let him go any further because it's very dangerous. And he starts giving out the tzitzis, and there's like a line where he can't go any further, and there's the soldiers on the other side of the line, and the guy says, hey, pass me a tzitzis. So he couldn't go. He threw it to him. He throws the tzitzis at him, and the tzitzis was like kind of the wind took the tzitzis and flew over, and it fell down, and all of a sudden you see a terrorist pop up. And the soldier is there, shoots him dead right there. The terrorist was hiding, was still part of the hiding, and the only reason that he came up because he saw something fall on him. He didn't know what it was. It was a tzitzis, and he got up, and boom, he was eliminated. This is just tip of the iceberg of the stories, because mitzvahs protect. Now, something that's important to recognize is it's not like a punishment when not doing mitzvahs, but it's the other way around. If terrible things happen, a mitzvah is a helmet. A mitzvah is a protection. Hashem has given us his mitzvahs as protections. Protect us and protect others. So keep on adding mitzvahs. Do another mitzvah and another mitzvah. Say chapters of Tehillim, prayer, tefillin, lighting Shabbos candles, and all the mitzvahs that we just spoke about. And this will be a source of strength and protection for Am Yisrael. Good Shabbos.